trying something different today. We are streaming to YouTube, and we're also streaming to Facebook as well. So before I sort of get into it, I want to make sure that everybody can see me and everybody can hear me. So if you can all just sort of give me a thumbs up, put number 1 if you can see and hear me. If you're on YouTube, come along. Hi, everybody can hear me? Jazz, can you check on YouTube? Am I live on YouTube? Just double check. I am live. Cool, number 1. Okay, how about Facebook? We live on Facebook as well, Jazz? Go. So everyone's on YouTube coming on. Thank you all very much for that. Facebook as well, before we get started. Facebook as well. Excellent, super. Okay, so it's working. I'm glad. We had a few little glitches a little bit earlier, but excellent. Glad everybody's okay. So I shall start again. Thank you all for coming this afternoon. My name's Andrew Berry, and we're here for another question and answer session. We're going to be looking at about an hour again this afternoon. If you want to ask a question, put it down in the little chat box. You can put it on, if you're on Facebook, you can do the same. On YouTube, you can do exactly the same. And it comes through to us. We're going to go through them. We're going to go through them in some sort of order from when you first came on. We're just going to go through and see what's what. But before we go any further, I want to mention about our 12-hour quarantine stream. It's going to be going live 2 weeks Saturday, I think it is. It's the 30th of May. It's working excellent. So yeah, 30th of May, we're going to do a 12-hour broadcast covering everything to do with jewelry. We put out a survey. Its survey now is closed, but thank you to the how many was it? We had over
700 and something. Yeah, really good response.
So we had over 700 responses. We got to go through all that data, but just try and work out what you want to see at the right time of day, bearing in mind you're in different parts of the world. So that's what we've been going through this afternoon, just seeing what's what. But yeah, 30th of May, not quite sure what time we're going to start, but 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, I think, something like that, running the full 12 hours. It's going to be jewelry demonstrations. We got giveaways. We got merch to give away. We've got top companies from around the world. We've got people like Walsh in the UK, Craft. We've got Otto Fry. We've got Durston, all coming on board with giveaways throughout the whole day. So you just have to stay tuned for that, and that'll be full 12 hours. Anyway, thank you all for coming for this afternoon for this question and answer. Right, Louise, what is the first question this afternoon, please?
Okay, we're going to kick off with Helly, who is asking, please could you give some tips for polishing silver with the Dremel using mops and brushes and Tripoli? I just end up with loads of black gunge forming that I can't get off.
Okay, so personally, I would not use a Dremel or any sort of rotary mop for cleaning chains unless it's big, thick, chunky chains, because there's a chance that the chain is going to catch in the mop and it's going to spin round, and that means the chain could break, or it could actually snap, or it could actually flick around and flick in your face and so forth. So I would not personally recommend you use a Dremel or something like a flex shaft. If you do want to use it, make sure it's wrapped around your peg. Wrap around, let me just get this camera, I move this camera. So make sure that you get your, hang on a second, bear with me a second. Let's just get this camera in place there and come down like that there. There we go, cool, okay. So make sure that your chain is wrapped around your block, that you hold onto it, and then you can just go over the piece of chain that's exposed upon the top and make sure it's wrapped around it, because it's going to be pretty dangerous. Now, there was another question that I remember seeing, Louise, quite early on, saying, how do you clean silver chains? And this is two sort of questions that we can bring together. They came out of the barrel. I think it was all tangled up towards the beginning, was it? I think I did see it. Yeah, you carry on looking. Yeah, can you find it? It is there. Cool. Okay. Any suggestion for cleaning silver chains? They clump together in the barrel polisher. Again, it's a great idea. You can make up a little wire, little frame, a little U frame, that then you can perhaps wrap the silver chain around, or you could even build a little frame like this. I got a marker pen, so thank you for everybody who mentioned about a marker pen. Brilliant idea. Overhead, that one there. Okay, so you can make a framework. You can make a framework like this, almost like an open Christmas tree, isn't it? Like that there. So this would be perhaps some wire, and then you can just wrap the chains around these little areas here, and that can go in the barrel polisher, and then the chains won't tangle. But for me, the best thing to do, and I've been trying to frantically find it and I can't find it now, is to scratch brush the chain. So you get a little, not a little, very large wire brush, a brass brush that's roughly around about the same size as a buff stick. So all this area here would be all little brass bristles. You would then wrap the chain around your hand. Then you get the brass brush with some warm soapy water and brush the chain with the brass brush. I did a video on this, must be about 2 or 3 years ago now, on YouTube. If Jazz can find that particular film on YouTube, perhaps she can come along, and I don't know how she can. She can't really add it to the chat, can she? She can, yeah. You can put it on the YouTube chat, can't you? Yeah, yeah. Is that okay? Yep. So yeah, we're going to try and find that. That's going to be a little film that we did. A few months ago. Sorry, if Jazz finds it on the YouTube, she can post it on the chat. Yeah, are you on YouTube? Yeah.
She can post that on YouTube though, and not the Facebook.
Yeah, then pass by. Can you copy and paste that and put it into the general chat for the Facebook people? Yeah. This is all new to us because this slightly different format that we're actually going to. What video? It's the cleaning silver chain. It was about 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So Jasmine's frantically looking back through some of the old videos on YouTube to try and find it. It is a couple of years ago. So that would be the best way that I think that you could actually clean a silver chain or a gold chain without damaging yourself, without breaking the chain. Brass brush, warm, hot, soapy water, nice bit of fairy liquid or whatever it is, scrub the chain back and forth, bring the chain up, absolutely gorgeous. So whilst Louise is busy looking on there, I will have a look at some other things that we got here. Just for polishing silver Dremel, yeah, we've done that. Recommend casting agents for silver and silver and this affordable service. Casting agents, do you mean sort of like casting companies, Lara Jade? If it's casting companies here in the UK, there are lots and lots of them. There are some big manufacturers out there, something like Western Beemore, Qualcast, I think Hockley Mint. What's their parent company? Can't remember what Hockley Mint is, but that's one as well. There's also small little guys called, there's a guy called John Black Metal Arts, I think it is. He's on Facebook. He does some casting in the UK. It's just I would perhaps just check out some of the trade magazines, some of the big boys out there that you would get reliable service from. But there's also some smaller casting companies out there as well who would do you a good deal as well. I'm sure you can. Okay, let's have a look through some other chat. What we got here? Clean silver chain clump in the barrel. So we've done that one. Scroll.
Did you do Romy's question?
Which was? Is it essential to use a tumbler? No, not really. A tumbler is great because it sort of burnishes the surface, and it does save you a lot of time because you can put items into the barrel polisher or the tumbler whilst you go and do something else. So that's a good time saver. I do get fairly good results from a barrel polisher. I don't tend to use one all the time, only very occasionally, because I do like to polish by hand. So it is not essential to have one. If you haven't got one, but you've got a polishing motor, use the polishing motor. If you've got a barrel polisher, instead of a polishing motor, but then use the barrel polisher. But it is not essential. It's quite a nice machine, and you can get on with other work whilst your pieces are tumbling around in the barrel polisher. I've lost my drink. Where's my drink, guys? It's over there. Thank you. Next question, Louise.
Okay, this question is from Trish, and she would like to know, I've got some ferric nitrate to etch some silver. What is the best method to use, and can I keep the solution for further use, and for how long?
Okay, yes, you can keep it. Make sure you keep it in perhaps a Tupperware box, a plastic box. Keep it in the dark, keep the lid on it to keep the air out of it. Keep it in the dark and you can reuse it. You can reuse it quite a few times, but obviously the more times you etch, the slower the etching action is going to take because the solution is getting weaker and weaker as the time goes on. So there's no real time frame to say it'll last you 2 months, it'll last you 3 months or so forth. It just depends on how much etching you've got. And if you notice that your etching is getting slower and slower and slower, well, there's time to ditch that batch and make up a fresh batch. So that is one way that you can do it. To try and get rid of ferric nitrate, perhaps put it in a cat litter tray or let the water evaporate from it and then take it then to your local amenity centre and ask them to dispose of it safely. Never ever put it down your drains, never. Next question.
Can I just check?
Yes.
Somebody said that there's an echo.
It could well
get some feedback on sound.
It may be an echo because of I might have the curtains to go in here to deaden the sound, so there's a little bit of an echo at the moment. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
As long as it's not too distracting for people.
Okay.
Okay.
So what have we got?
Richard would like to know what is the best way to stick paper to silver.
Oh, I didn't have it on camera then. Sorry, I have to be too busy drinking. The best way, you can easily use something like double-sided sticky tape. And stick that down on the silver, then put your bit of paper on the top. You can also get just like mailing labels and print out on a sticky mailing label from a printer. That's no problem at all. If it was me, I would try and use a mailing label because then you can stick that directly onto the silver with no messing about. Double-sided sticky tape is ideal, but it's a heck of a thing to try and get off. Or you can use something like a Pritt stick or PVA glue to put upon the silver to then put the paper on the top as well. If you're working quick, a label is far quicker rather than having to wait for the PVA glue to dry. So my recommendation would either print out or draw it on a packaging label. You can stick that onto your silver, or you can easily just double-sided tape and put that onto your silver and the paper on the top. And either way, that's the best. The worst one is what I use is super glue, because super glue does crack and some of the paper does lift. So I wouldn't recommend super glue. Double-sided tape or packaging label. I'll put the camera on you this time. Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, Louise. Next question.
Okay, Lake Star would like to try Delft casting. Do you need to prepare the crucible before melting silver? It's brand new.
Yes, ideally you do. Again, there's a film on YouTube that I won't ask Jazz. Did you find the film for the... You did, yep. Did you post it up? Yep. Excellent, cool. Okay, so there's a film on YouTube, must be going back about 3 years ago, where you get your brand new crucible. Do I have any crucibles here? I don't. So the idea is you get your crucible and you get your crucible holder. Anything down there? No. Put the crucible in the crucible holder. Then you get some borax. Some powdered borax is ideal. If you haven't got powdered borax, just grab your borax cone, or you can even use the borax that you use for your laundry in America. You need to heat up the crucible with your torch until it starts to get hot, until it starts to glow red. Then you sprinkle some of the borax over the little central area where your metal is going to go. Keep sprinkling that little central bowl until it's completely, not full, but completely coated, until you've got a nice even coating of sort of molten borax in it. Keep heating up the crucible until it's nice and bright red, and then you can just make sure that all the borax has coated that crucible. Once that little bowl area of the crucible has been coated with borax, that's fine, that's sort of like seasoned, and then we can, oh, there we go, excellent. And then we can, excellent, yeah. Sorry, so that is the link. I'm not quite sure. Can we click on the link in the comments at all?
I'm trying to copy it, but I can't.
Okay, no worries at all. I'm sure others could click on that link, I would have thought. Yeah. Okay, so that link that you're seeing down here is how to clean and polish your silver chains. You can just click on that. That'll take you to one of the YouTube films that you can watch it. It'll also be in the chat here as well for when the the video is replayed. You can click on it and you can go and find it, no worries at all. So yeah, so the crucible is nicely seasoned. Once you've done it once, you don't have to do it again. As you melt your silver or your gold in your crucibles, you always add little bits of borax, a little bit of flux to it, just to enable the metal to melt nice and easily and to get rid of any sort of impurities. Over a period of time, you do get quite a lot of flux within the crucible itself. You can then clean your crucible out by tipping it on its end, heating it until it's red hot, and all the excess borax and flux will all come out of it. But once you've done it once, there's no need to do it again. But whatever you do, do not try and melt your silver or gold in a brand new crucible. It won't come out. And likewise, the same thing when it comes to using an ingot mold. Always make sure you prepare the ingot mold before you put any metal into it. The metal will stick to the mold straight away. What you want to do is get some oil, coat the ingot mold with a little bit of oil. Doesn't matter what oil it is. It can be 3-in-1, cheap household oil, anything like that. Some people will use the soot from a flame or from a candle, something like that. As long as there's a layer of carbon in the mold, the actual metal will come out far, far easier than what it would do if you poured the metal into a brand new ingot mold. So that's the best way to do crucible and also ingot mold as well. Yes, Louise, next question, please.
Still getting some reports and echo on me.
On you. Okay. We should look into that. We should listen to it.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
Right, Helly is asking, do you have any tips for creating bezels for quite small 4mm round opal triplets?
4mm round. Tip of creating better 4mm rounds. For me, I think the easiest way to do that would be to simply buy 4mm or 5mm round tubing. The size would be exactly the right size. So if you had 5mm, you can use a setting burr to go down, say a 4mm setting burr, like one of these here, like a little setting burr here. He says he drops his remote. Let's have a look. There we go. Okay, so we've got a little setting burr here. Something like that would be ideal within a tube, because this little conical area here will be able to go down and center itself right in the center of the tube, and you're going to have the perfect seat. You're going to have a nice bezel with literally no solder joint in at all, because it is a piece of tubing. So that would be my bit of advice. If you do want to make up your own bezels, you can get some very small little mandrels like these here that you can make up your bezels, put the bezel upon the mandrel and then tap it so you can get a nice size. But for me, I'd be really lazy. I would just get a bit of silver tubing and buy the tubing, then cut off what you need, and that's ideal. But if you do have to, a little mandrel like that is absolutely invaluable for doing your, especially if you're using opals. Tubing would be the best thing to use. Excellent. Okay, yes, Louise, next question.
Okay, Jerry Ann would like to know how to make a split shank and how to measure it for finished size for, say, a size 7 ring.
Okay, so split shank measure for okay, so let's have a look. Split shank. If we go, it's a bit of a trial and error sort of scenario this is. So what I think you'd have to do is, depending on obviously how much of a split you want. So I guess you want the shank to come up, so it is sort of split that way, I gather. So it's so looking down on top, then you've got the split coming this way, that way, and on the other side then you've got that. And then and then we go by here. So I assume this is what you mean by the split shank. I would basically measure up the length of metal exactly the right size, plus perhaps 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters bigger than what you actually need. Once you've got the long length, then you can simply saw down through the metal itself. And then there's your blade there. Then you can just simply saw down each side of your shank. And once you've sawn down each side of your shank, you then will open it up to make it into that shape. Then I would bend it around into the complete round shape. To get an accurate sort of shape, I would then file the ends flat. Quite difficult to explain this, but actually sort of doing it. Let's have a look. One camera, there we go. So then I would solder the shank together so they come together like that way. Then I would then make it nice and round, tap it round upon the mandrel until it is perfectly round. Then all you got to do then is simply then cut back through the center to split them open, and then you've got your nice split shank, which then is going to be nice and round. So that would be the best thing to do. You can't say make it up to a size 7, because when you actually come to then open it up, you're going to lose a little bit of metal, because the metal has to go widthways as well. So it's going to be slightly smaller. You open it up as well, solder it together, you're going to lose a couple of millimeters. That's why I always add an extra 2 or 3 millimeters to the length of the metal that you need to do the complete circumference, just to allow for any errors or any sort of filing and cutting that you have to do. So that would be, I think, the best way that I would do a split shank. And then you can also sort of bend these sides here, so you can bend them so they come outwards, and you can do some lovely different fancy ideas. The little ball here, and the setting goes, you get the general gist of the idea. So that would be my top tips to make a nice split shank. For the size 7, I'm not quite sure what a size 7 is now in the US. But that would be the best way, Okay, yes, next question, please.
Okay, Iona is asking, how thin a model can be cast in cuttlefish? And can you cast 2 small pieces at once and have them connected through a small channel?
Oh gosh, cuttlefish casting. The thickness is around about 2 millimeters. Now the problem is, what you don't want to do is do anything similar to what you've just mentioned, because you've got your cuttlefish casting. You've got your cuttlefish here, and so cuttlefish comes down like that, and you've got your little bit of a pouring channel by here. So this is where your metal would be going in. What you don't want to do is to have some sort of void here, and then have a little channel, and then have another void down here. So the metal has to travel down into the pouring channel, into this area, then it has to go through another small area into another larger area. This is really, really bad, because the metal will start to solidify when it hits this area here, because a lot of metal stays warmer for longer than a very thin, small little piece of metal. So you can imagine this lovely molten metal comes in, it's big, it's large, it comes into the cuttlefish, and then it's got to go down through a very, very small little channel into the next part. Because you're working on gravity, and because as soon as the torch comes off the metal, the silver starts to cool down, the metal will solidify in that little area here, and this void here will not fill up with metal. So that would be a bad way of doing it. What I would do, perhaps, if you wanted to do that, is to have your cuttlefish this way, and have your little voids this way, and join that way, and have your metal coming down this way. So you have a little channel then coming into this one, and the same time you have a little channel coming into that one. Yep, so then the metal will flow down here, come into here, it'll come down here and into that one at the same time. And then if you do have to have a little bit of a joining piece between the two, the metals should pretty much go together. But that way you're going to fill the 2 holes at the same time, as opposed to that method where it has to fill one first and then go into the other. So that would be the best tip if you want to produce 2 large areas in one mold. And cuttlefish casting, better try and get some cuttlefish casting done on our live event, I think. That'll be really, really good. Yes, definitely get some cuttlefish casting. It's good. It's smelly, yeah. Okay, next question, Louise.
Okay, Orpha is asking, where can I buy the triangle tool that you use for sharpening engravers, please?
Okay, so that is this little tool here. I've gone close up there as well. So there it is there. So this is from, I actually bought this off eBay. Yep, eBay, nice and easy. The other company that I've noticed this morning, cousinsuk.com, they sell it as well. I got mine from eBay. It got dispatched in about 2 or 3 days. Cousins UK are in the UK and they will sell it as well. It's just a little sharpening device. You can use it to sharpen your screwdrivers and your gravers as well. So those are 2 places to go and check out: ebay.com, ebay.co.uk, or Cousins UK here in the UK. And I'm sure there's other suppliers around the world that would sell it as well to you. Yeah, next question.
Okay, this is from Trevor. He says, I have some quite thin porcelain jasper stones that are only a couple of millimeters in thickness by around 20 mil times 15 mil. Do you have any special instructions for setting them?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Steady nerves would be a good one. I would try and not put any pressure onto the stones, because what was that? They were 2 mil. Were they 2 mil? 15 by 15 mil. Oval or round? Sorry, Louise. Couple of millimeters thick. It doesn't say. Okay, yeah. So yeah. So I think be very, very careful. I would try and make sure, if you could be a bezel set in them, do make sure that perhaps the bezel is made out of fine silver, so you don't have to push too hard. Fine silver is going to bend nice and easy, and it's going to go over the edge of the bezel a lot easier than a sterling silver would. Don't have the bezel obviously too high. If you're only talking about 2 millimeter thick piece of stone, the bezel is not going to be very high. I would perhaps even try and get some cement perhaps, or a little bit of epoxy in the bottom of the setting just to hold the stone in place, perhaps beforehand, just so the stone doesn't move and it is securely in there, and then ease the bezels over, something like that. That would help. But yeah, you don't want to put too much pressure on, so fine silver bezel would be the best thing there. Claw setting, take a lot of care when you're claw setting, anything like that. I don't think you would be setting that. That's more of a cabochon, that would be. So a nice bezel would be ideal for that, which would be absolutely gorgeous, or gorgeous to see. Lovely. Okay, next question, please. Yes.
Yeah, there might be a problem with the questions coming through, because I've got a question from Teresa who seconded a question by Julia, which I can't actually see. So I don't think all the questions are streaming through.
Oh, right, okay. Perhaps we're a little bit behind.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but I can't see Julia's question. I'm so sorry. I'll keep looking on the other platforms now, but we'll get on with another one in the meantime, if that's okay. Ingrid would like to know the kind of sanding drums that you use. Can you show an unused one close-up and let us know where you buy them, please?
Again, sanding drums. These are the sort of sanding drums that I use, because they're on close-up. Pretty much looking like this, but a little bit on the fatter side. They can be obtained from, again, from all different suppliers. I know Otto Fry sell them, Stuller, Rio Grande sell them, and they're just simply rolls of emery paper, all rolled up, a little bit of glue on the bottom that holds it together. If you're in the UK, you can get them again. You can get them from Walsh. You can get them from Betts Metal Sales. You can get them from Cousins UK that I've just said, and you can get them in all different grits. You can get them from very coarse grit to very fine grit. These are brilliant, but if you don't want to go down that line, you can always get yourself a mandrel. This is a split mandrel. So it's a shaft that would go in your flex shaft or your pendant motor. It's a fairly thick, this is about a 3.5 millimeter. You can get these a little bit thicker as well, about a 5 millimeter. And there's a split. And the idea is with this is you get a strip of emery paper. Like this little strip, perhaps you've got the end of your bus stick and there's one little strip left. You can always put that between the splits in your mandrel and then roll that around. And from there, you now have made your own little sanding drum. And admittedly, it's not fastened, but some people will put elastic band around the end, and you've got your own little sanding drum instead of having to buy ready-made ones. So that's a good little tip to do with that. That's awesome. There is. Are we not on the Facebook? No.
No, I can't see us on Facebook.
Okay. No worries. No? Are we there? Okay. Okay. Yes. Sorry, Louise. Yes, please. Next question. Yeah.
Yes. Brenda would like to know what make is your larger gas torch?
Okay. So the one I've got is a sievert. If you're talking about the big one that I use for melting down, or is it this one? If it's this one, this is a one called Systotech. If you check back to, I think it's last week's Q&A or the week before, I did put a link, I think on Amazon, it's called a ProFlame. It should be on there. And also, if you go to andrewberry.co.uk, on the top bar it says the stuff that Andrew uses. The stuff that Andrew uses. And then there are some links, some affiliate links then. Right there. So I'm trying to That's just okay. So if you go to andrewberry.co.uk, on the top bar, stuff that Andrew uses, there's books that I recommend, there's tools that I recommend. The link to this particular torch, it's on Amazon, is there, but I think it's called a ProFlame. I bought that from Cookson's in the UK. I'm sure Cookson's in France sell them as well. Brand is called a Systotech. I shall bring that into here so you can see. There we go. Systotech. But it's a pretty generic type of torch. But yeah, a ProFlame. But if you go on to the last video or the video before, I've got a link that you can go up to Amazon and buy it. There's that one there. If that's what you're on about. If it's not that one, well, then I use a sievert torch, the handle that connects up to a propane tank. Just purely propane, and you can get interchangeable nozzles with that and all sorts. But that's another brilliant torch. Sievert. If you're in the UK or close to the UK, go to a company called Hamilton Gas. They're in Ireland, and they sell the cheapest sievert torches out there. Don't go to Cookson because they are far more expensive. I'm sorry if someone's Cookson watching. I do apologise, but reduce your prices because Hamilton Gas sell them at a far greater reduced price than most other places here in the UK. Next question, Louise. What do we have coming in?
Okay, we've recovered Julia's question, which one? I'm so sorry, it looks like we've missed some questions from the start. They haven't appeared on the stream, so we're looking to get that fixed. I'm not sure why that would be.
Okay.
But Julia's question is there a way to dome an oval, say for a cufflink, without going to the expense of an oval doming block? I have a round hold one, round punches, and a swage block.
Swage block. A swage block. That's a really hard question because you can buy doming punch sets that are now oval. But you don't have a doming punch or anything like that. That's a really difficult question to answer. The only way that you can really do it and depend on what size dome you want is to treat it almost like you're doing some silversmithing and making a vessel, making a bowl by having a metal stake. But that really depends on the size you've got. So if you have something like this, like a little round disc, it's going to be something really, really hard to try and dome it. The way you can do it actually is to get a bit of wood, perhaps a bit of pine, a bit of whatever it is, nice bit of wood, and get a nice coarse burr and burr out a nice dome in that piece of wood. Then you can put your bit of silver on, treat it as a doming block. but you've made your nice little oval dome in it. And then you can get something like a doming punch, and you can hammer the bit of metal into the bit of wood, or you can even get the end of, I'm looking around here for something that I can use, or even get something like the end of a buff stick like this, and just carve that and file that and into an oval, a rounded oval punch, and you can use that to punch the metal into the wood itself. That, I think, is going to be your best bet if you don't have access to swage blocks or doming punches, is to make your own and improvise. And that's a brilliant way of learning how to come together and make up some tools. So yeah, bit of wood, a nice coarse round burr, make up a nice dome in it, or use a drill to reduce, get rid of a lot of the wood to start off with, and then refine the shape with a nice burr. Then you should be able to hammer your bit of silver into it with a doming punch, or the end of a bit of wood, like your buff stick there. Okay, next question. I have a difficult time maintaining constant speed with my flex shaft. I also don't really know what it means when something says to run at a certain RPM. Is there a chart? No, I wish there was, but there's nothing at all relating to the pressure on the pedal, to the speed that the pendant motor goes at. And I know, for instance, say you're using these little white nylon brushes, which I absolutely love. You shouldn't really take them more than 10,000 RPM. If you're using these little texturing wheels as well, you shouldn't really be putting these above 3,000 RPM. But what is 3,000 revs per minute? What is 10,000 revs per minute? It is really, really hard, and I totally agree with what you're saying. What I would suggest is that you have a look to see what your pendant motor, your flex shaft, will go to the maximum, and it's usually written on the machine itself, on the back, Andrew, not on the front. So this maximum is 18,000 RPM. So when I put my foot on the pedal flat, that should be going 18,000 RPM. When your foot is off, it's obviously nothing. And I would like to think that the foot pedals are nicely graduated. So if you put your foot halfway on the pedal, it should be going roughly around about 9,000 revs. That'd be one way that you could roughly judge it. The other way you could judge it would be to actually start up the pendant motor and listen to the sound that that is making. And then you know that that is running at 18,000 RPM. Then you can sort of relax your foot off the pedal. And if you can listen to the pitch and try and work out what the pitch, the sound would be between nothing and that would be roughly around about halfway. That's the only really way that you're going to sort of be able to judge how fast this something is going. But I wouldn't really run anything too fast. 18,000 revs is far too fast for most little rotary tools like this, unless you've got a little diamond flywheel that you should be doing around about 30 RPM. Something like these, not very fast at all. 6,000 revs, so that's 6,000 revs, a third of what that should be. In fact, let me plug it in. Am I plugged in? Oh, I'm plugged in. Cool. Okay, so we've got 18,000 revs. That's nothing. Okay, 18,000 revs. Okay, so that's 18,000 revs. Not a nice sound, is it? So I would have thought that in between, so we've got full blast and something like that, possibly about 9,000 revs. Foot right off. Perhaps 3,000, 4,000. I don't know. I don't think there's a table out there. So that is the sort of way that I would gauge what that speed is going at. I always use something like a Fordham SR. This is an absolutely brilliant type of pendant motor, and I love this pendant motor because the foot control is electronic and it's really, really accurate and absolutely brilliant. Some of the pendant motors that I've had, you've only got to put your foot on that pendant motor a little bit and it kicks in straight away and you don't know what the heck it's doing. But with this type of motor, you can put your foot on it and it really is pretty slow. So that's a good way of judging as well, is to have a good foot control. If you've got a little micro motor, there's a little dial on that you can set the exact speed that you have to. So they're a little bit more precise and a bit more accurate. But I think you just got to do it by ear when it comes to a pendant motor, or by the feel of the motor. You don't want it to be running full blast. It's just far too fast. So half that would be ideal, or a third of that would be ideal for these little brushes. Yes, Louise, next question.
I'm so sorry, the questions have gone out the window a little bit, I'm afraid. I don't really like this app. I think it's
not good.
either filtered or lost some of the questions.
Oh dear,
yeah,
okay.
We like to read them from top to bottom.
Okay, from start to finish.
So yeah, where were we? Yeah, Erin is asking, do you have any recommendations for budget jewellery making?
Budget jewellery making, in the sense of tools, perhaps? Is that the sort of thing that you're after? I would always perhaps buy a starter kit. That way you're going to get the majority of the right tools at a reasonable price, because they're not well overpriced. They're not really, really inferior type of tools. I guess that's what you mean. The majority of kits that you can buy from someone like Walsh, Otto Fry, yeah, from Rio Grande, the lower end, so up to about $200, £100, £150 is about your starting point, and you're going to get a good selection of pliers. You can get a good selection of other bits and pieces, your bench pin, a ruler, you can get some scribe, you're going to get a piercing saw, blades, and that sort of thing. Excuse me, so that would be the best bet. And I must admit, tool catalogues are full of absolutely gorgeous, expensive tools. You don't necessarily need the most expensive tools to produce the most gorgeous type of jewellery. It's how you use the tools that enables you to produce the jewellery. When it comes to something like pliers, I would always go for a box joint. So this is what is called a box joint. You can see how this part of the plier goes in through the plier itself. So that's called a box joint. I would never buy anything. He says he's got one here. It's just a simple scissor action joint. So you have one bit of metal going over the other and they just swivel like this. These are not the most accurate. This is a very, very cheap pair of top cutters. You can get pliers like this. You see what I mean? Here, this little area, as opposed to these here. They're slightly different. So I always go for a box joint. The pliers are going to last you a long time. These are some pliers here that I bought going back 18, 20 years ago, and I'm still using them now today. I don't know about this, where that came from, I don't know. So always go for a reasonable quality tools in a toolkit, and that will get you your best quality stuff. I think that'll be the best. I think that'll be the best answer. And then obviously, don't buy buff sticks. Make up your own buff sticks. Again, I got films on YouTube again showing you how to make buff sticks. Never buy buff sticks. If you want to buy a hammer, pop into your local ironmongers and just get a normal hammer, small little hammer from your ironmongers. Make sure that you polish up the faces nice and shiny. And that'll be your best bet. But if you need to buy a tool, think about it twice. How can you improvise it? As I just said, you could get a piece of wood or some very basic doming blocks out of wood with the wooden punches. You don't necessarily need the metal ones that are going to be hundreds of pounds. A small little wooden block that's made, I don't know, say India for that sort of thing, or that sort of place that would make them fairly inexpensively if you're just starting out. And if you find then that you wear that doming set out, the wooden set out, well, then you can invest in a nice set of metal Durston ones or Pepe ones or Conti ones, whatever you wanted to. So start off, think twice before you need to buy a tool. Can you make it? Can you adapt it? If you want to make punches, repousse punches, go and get some nails, shape the ends of nails, heat them up, quench them in some oil to harden them, take them out the oil, heat them back up again just to release that brittleness. You can make your own punches, center punches, and so forth. So there's lots of things that you can do if you think, how can I make the tool that I'm going to spend a few pounds on nice and easily and cheaply? And that'll be your best bet. Yes, Louise, thanks for question.
Catherine Catherine would like to know how to make a ring shank that is higher on top than on the bottom, and how to make a ring shank for a claw setting that has 2-inch connection points on each side.
I understand the first bit. How to make a ring shank for a claw setting that has 2 connection points on each side.
How to make a ring shank for a claw setting that has 2-inch. It's got the.
It has a 2-inch connection points.
Yeah, my mistake.
On each side. I don't know about the claw setting that has 2 connection points on each side, but if you want to make a shank that is higher on one side, the top where the claws are, I would start off with perhaps a 2mm square wire. So 2mm section wire. I would make that round. So we've got our metal, and there's the join by here. So this is your ring shank, 2mm in diameter and thickness, and whatever you want, height and thickness. Then I would get now I looked for this hammer last week and I didn't have it, but do I have it today? Yes, I do. And then I would get what's called a cross peen hammer. So I would use this end here and a hammer across at this end here. Hammer from roughly around about 1/3 up. So you hammer and you put these lines in all the way, and that will actually stretch the metal. So that would stretch the metal into, and that'd be thin on top and then thicker as it comes down, like that. So as you hammer, you're stretching the metal is getting thinner, and then you turn over then to this end here, and you start to planish. So then the metal then will take on that section because you've hammered, made it thinner. And the reason why you use this end of the hammer is because as you hit down in this direction, okay, the metal stretches that way and that way if you're hitting it with a cross pane hammer that way. If you're hitting it with the flat end here, so this is the face and you're hitting it this way, the metal spreads out in all directions, which is what you don't want. You want this to be directional up and down to be able to stretch the metal upwards and downwards. So always use this part of the hammer. The metal will be moved this way and that way. And then when you want to planish it and smooth it out, then you can use this part of the hammer. Then you just simply fire it into shape it, back up on the mandrel, tap it around, and you should get that nice tapered shank, but higher on the one side where the setting is going to go. And always try and have the solder seam. I always try and get the solder seam perhaps right in the middle, so you can cut through that solder seam and then open it up then to put your setting in place upon the top there. So you don't have any other solder seams at all on the rest of the ring. I don't understand the next bit, unfortunately. I don't have to have 2 connecting points on each side. I do apologize for that. I don't understand that, sorry. Okay. But yeah, next question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lena is next. Yesterday, I melted silver in a melting furnace for the first time. It smells a lot, although I have the windows open. Do the fumes come from the graphite crucible or the silver? And how do you avoid breathing them? Do you use a special mask to avoid breathing in the fumes?
Okay, so I guess the crucible should not be coated with anything, so I would not have thought there would be anything coming from the crucible itself. What you sometimes find, and depending on what silver you are melting, if you're melting something like casting grain, there's nothing else within that casting grain that is pure silver or pure sterling silver. You know, there's nothing else in it. If you're melting down scrap, if you're melting down other people's jewelry, it's going to sound really horrible, but when you melt down somebody's rings or someone's chain, there's sort of the dead skin cells in with the chain. It's not nice, Jazz. It's a horrible smell, I know. And then you get the smell coming up from when you're burning it from all the perhaps the soaps or the oils that's trapped on the jewelry, on the rings, on the chains. And it's usually that you can smell. Perfume, and I think the best perfume absolutely stinks the worst when you start to melt it or burn it off. So if you were melting scrap, it could be that you were smelling and not the Graphite Crucible. Yeah, put it by a window, absolutely brilliant. Have a door open on the other side of the room so you get a bit of a through draft, so perhaps any fumes then will be taken out through the window. What I tend to do is just put the items in the crucible, Graphite Crucible to start off with. Always put the crucible at an angle to put the stuff down. Never drop it directly down into the Graphite Crucible because you'll knock and smash the bottom off the crucible. Always roll it down the side of the crucible. I always then program whatever it's got temperature it's going to go to. I leave it in the crucible and I walk away and I get on with something else. Half an hour later, I come along. There's no smell because the smell's gone out of the window, so I don't stand over the furnace whilst it's melting. I wouldn't recommend that. I don't think there's many masks out there that would really stop the smell, to be honest, unless you want to spend.
More concerned about the fumes.
The fume.
That's what I surmised from
yeah,
the question.
the fumes coming from it. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would do. Put it by window through draft so the fumes get taken out. Next question, please.
Jonathan is asking for ideas about sourcing materials, not just silver, but other metals and things that could be used.
Okay, so I think my sort of particular go-to place is someone like eBay, and you can get an amazing array of weird and wonderful materials on eBay. You can get things like animal skulls, you can get bones, you can get fur, feathers, you can get basically anything you want on eBay. So that would be my first go-to place if I was looking for something. And then just see what's out there, and then perhaps get some of the keywords or the search terms that they've used to list those particular items, and then perhaps go on somewhere like Amazon, or just do a general search on Google or Chrome, or not Chrome, that's a browser, or Google or Bing or whatever extension browser, whatever you use, to try and find what you want. You can always go to somewhere like the, what are they called? Like industrial engineering places. There's a few near us that you can go and ask them if they got any offcuts. You may be able to get some nice pieces of steel or brass or copper. They're offcuts. They're too small for them to use if they're cutting out large sheets, that they may be able to give you or just to sell you. So that's something else that you could look for. But apart, if I don't know exactly what you're looking for, it's very hard for me to tell you exactly what it is. But someone like eBay, absolutely brilliant. You'd be amazed at what you can get on eBay. Anyway, sorry, that's part of the point. Right, next question, please.
I think you answered Robin's question about maintaining constant speed with the fletch.
Yeah.
So next is Gail. What is the best way to repair a white gold diamond ring that has snapped at the shoulder? There are diamonds that run down the shoulder, and the piece has snapped in between the second and the third diamond from the top.
Oh gosh, right. So quite a technical question here. So I think the best thing for you to do, first of all, before you put the flame on it or anything like that, if you've got a steamer, use a steamer. That will get rid of all the dirt that is trapped behind the diamonds. If you haven't got a steamer, use something like an ultrasonic. Make sure that you use a nice fresh solution. Make sure the solution there is nice and hot, and then put the ring into it. It is so important to get all the dirt out from behind the stones before you put a flame anywhere near it. If there's any dirt that is trapped behind the stones, the flame goes on it, that dirt is going to burn, and it's going to burn and cake the backs of the stones and the backs where the seats where the stones are sitting. And even though the shine of a diamond really comes from the light going into the stone and coming out, if there's any dirt around the outside of the setting, anything like that, it can also affect the brilliance of the stone, and the stone will appear dark. So first of all, and even you've got to leave that ring in the ultrasonic for a day or so running to make sure that it is totally clear. If there's any holes on the back of the shank or the back of the shoulders, try and get something like a compressed air canister with a little tube on it and spray that behind through the holes. That will shoot out any dirt that has become softened from the ultrasonic. That will blow that away. Even just put it in between by your lips and go and blow the dirt out. Blow the dirt out from behind the shoulders as well. But it is so important to get all the dirt out from behind the shoulders before you put the flame onto it. You can protect the diamonds, but I think it's not going to be really practical by putting cool heat or anything like that on the stones, because you've got, you need the heat on the actual part of the shoulder. So that is my tip. Get all the dirt out from first of all, and then just go careful then aligning the shank back up to make sure you get it exactly right. Find out also why the shank is broken, where it's broken. Is there a fracture? Well, if there's a fracture, it's split. Are there other fractures underneath? Is it split because the stone was set too deep and they drilled out too far into the shoulder and it's made it weak? Can you solder it back without the stone in place and add a bit of extra solder to try and strengthen up that little hole, then re-drill the hole, then set the stone back into it? So there's lots of things that you can think of, but my tip advice is to make sure there's no dirt behind. And if this dirt has burnt on the back of the stone, there's not an awful lot you can do. You'd have to take the stone out, clean the setting out, and then reset the stone back into it. But that's a heck of a potch, so I wouldn't try and do that. But yeah, ultrasonic the stone and make sure that all the dirt is out from behind it. We've got time for one more question, Louise?
Okay,
Yep, one more, yeah. Or should I have
Lisa,
two?
okay,
Look,
yeah.
yep.
Lisa says, I'm a real novice and newcomer to silver jewellery making, so any top tips would be appreciated. I'm trying to teach myself from home. I'm a member of At the Bench, so I watch your videos.
Sorry, any top tips for?
Just general.
Okay, make sure that as soon as you start using precious metals that you catch all the lemel. Underneath my little tray here in this particular bench, we've got a tray that comes out, as you can see, and as you file and as you saw here, all the lemel goes down into the little tray here. Make sure you save all the little bits. Make sure you save even these little bits of emery paper that come off the buff sticks, and make sure you save them. Put them in a bag, put the bag to one side. If you use your saw blades and the saw blades snap, don't throw the blades away. Put those saw blades in that bag with all these little bits of paper. Everything that comes off the floor, sweep it. They're called sweeps. Keep them. Wipe all the surfaces down with like a damp cloth. Put that in the bag. And the idea is you're saving all the precious metals everywhere. Everything that comes out of the tray that you've got in the tray here, as you can see, there's lemel in the tray roughly around about here. Again, save that, put that in a small little container. It's called precious metal reclamation, and you save it all. And it may take you a couple of years to get a big bag full of all these bits of emery paper, but there's precious metals in this paper. There's obviously dust that you can then send to the refiners. So save as much as you possibly can. Even when you go to the sink and you wash your hands, always perhaps wipe your hands with a baby wipe first to get all the little bits off your hand. Put that in the bag. Make sure you save all these little bits. So that would be my top tip when you're starting to make jewelry, is to save all the little bits. Top tip also, read as many books as you can. There's lots of books online. You can go on Amazon. Again, if you want to go to andrewberry.co.uk, click on the stuff that Andrew uses on the top, and there's books that I recommend from Amazon. Study those books, ask lots of questions, join Facebook groups, join At the Bench. Brilliant, as you have done already, absolutely fantastic. And those would be my top tips, is read as much, ask as many people as you possibly can, and study pieces of jewelry to find out how things are made as well. And read tool catalogs. Tool catalogs are the best things you could possibly read, because they sort of give you an insight into what is out there and what you can possibly do. And perhaps you can even improvise as well. Those would be my top tips. I think we've got one question left, one question to go before we finish. What's the time now? Yep, hour's up virtually.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice quick one. Let's see. What do you add to the water in the ultrasonic?
Okay, so there's lots of things. Years ago, people used to use ammonia. But that absolutely killed your eyes when it was too hot and your eyes used to water. But that was an absolutely fantastic cleaner in an ultrasonic. You can get, have I got it around here? I don't have it around here. I use something called Dual Clean. I get it from Betts Metal Sales in the UK. I could get it in a 5-litre container. It's absolutely brilliant. I would personally, I would never use something like washing up liquid. even though it's soapy and you think it's going to do good, it's not as good as the proper formulated ultrasonic solutions. That is something that you can use. There's also sort of biodegradable and environmentally friendly and so forth cleaners out there that you can use, but even the ultrasonic fluid that you get these days is completely fine. There's no nasty chemicals in it at all. So that is something that I would use. People in America will use things like, is it Dawn soap? Something like that. That's pretty good to put in ultrasonic if you're in America, someone like that. But me personally, I would always go with a trusted brand of ultrasonic fluid. Adhere to what they say. It's usually perhaps 1 to 10. So 1 part ultrasonic solution to 10 parts water, something like that. And make sure it's always nice and warm as well. Try and get an ultrasonic solution heater on the ultrasonic and make sure it's nice and warm. Around 45, 50 degrees is the best sort of temperature, even though ultrasonics can go right up to about 80 or 90 degrees. There's someone over there. I would not recommend going that high, but 50 degrees, definitely a proper branded ultrasonic fluid would be the best thing for you to use. And I think there's a couple of brands out there that use natural solutions in the products as well. So they're pretty good. So that's what I would use. How's that? Anything I need to be drawn to? But we're going to look at this. You said there was some of the comments were not coming through.
Yeah, when we started with Helly's question, which we read out initially, but I can't see any questions prior to that, and there were some apparently, so I'm not sure whether it's the app that's filtered out.
Okay, they're all timestamped as well, aren't they? So we can see what's happened. Is it just Facebook that YouTube is not coming through on?
No, we're getting YouTube.
And you're getting Facebooks as well.
And we're getting some Facebook ones as well, so I'm not really sure. Maybe we didn't join early enough. I really don't know.
Okay. Okay, so that's something we need to look at.
Yeah, but there's so many questions as well, which we haven't had time for. So.
Okay, no worries at all. Okay, so we're still making notes of all the extra questions that we're not happen to be answering. And yes, we will be getting around to producing some films going through all the questions. What is the nitrogen concentration gas used in melting torch? Questions like this are really, really technical. If you cut a corner off, So there's loads more questions that we could be answering. I'm afraid we haven't got round to yours. I do apologise for that. Dawn, I'm sure it's Dawn soap. Yeah, something like that. America's right again. Thank you. Okay, we no need to go through that. No. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. They were gone. We don't need people like that. Excellent. So we blocked him. We Jazz. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, no worries at all. Okay, so anyway, thank you very much for coming on this afternoon. So with next couple of times we'll still be experimenting with this, and we'll see if we can try and work out why some of the questions had gone missing. But if you can just sort of like message me even over the next couple of seconds now to say if the experience was good on Facebook and if the experience was good on YouTube, just let us know and let us know what you think. We normally stream these purely on YouTube, but we're trying to reach out to more people. I know At the Bench has over 5,000 followers on. Are they followers on Facebook, or are they? I don't know, but whatever. Yeah. So we want to get to those people as well. Hence the reason why we're trying to stream over Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Every part of the week to look forward to it. It's great, isn't it? Yeah, I do. You prefer it on YouTube? Okay, thanks. Yeah.
I think I do as well, actually.
Yeah.
You lose questions, and it's difficult to manage both platforms in
the two.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So perhaps we can look at that, or perhaps there may be another streaming software out there that we can look at as well.
Yeah, maybe something should be a bit more reliable.
Yeah. Okay. So Kate likes it on Facebook. YouTube is good. YouTube. Yeah. I think we started off on YouTube. That it is a pretty reliable platform. Facebook is a brilliant platform as well, but we're trying to do two. We're trying to produce one film that gets taken out into two different platforms. So that may be the trouble.
The general consensus is that people preferred it on YouTube.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, we'll look at the stats and we'll see.
Oh, but somebody said that Facebook.
Yes, I love the Facebook platform. Yeah, I think we can never sort of get exactly the right platform, because there's things like Twitch. Do you use Twitch? Have you ever heard of Twitch? Twitch is placed basically for gaming in it, Jazz. Yeah, Twitch. You don't know Twitch. It's like a streaming platform. Anyway, let's not go into that. Okay, so we're going to finish now. So thank you all very much for coming on. Don't forget, we're going to be doing our 12-hour live quant stream. We think it's going to be the 30th of May. We're going to be getting some products to give away. I think the main giveaway is going to be a Durston rolling mill. So one lucky person who joins us on that particular day is in a chance of winning a Durston rolling mill that will be shipped to them completely free of charge. We're going to be shifting the bench to one side, and Louise and I are going to be sitting down. We're going to be having a chat about all sorts of things to do with jewelry. We're going to be having a chat with things like branding, marketing, social media, education. We're going to be chatting back and forth. We're going to open the chat occasionally throughout the day. When we're going to be doing our demonstrations, we'll open the chat box, and you can then ask the questions about what I'm doing at the time, and then Louise and I can see what's going on, and I can answer your questions whilst I'm doing the techniques. There'll be questions and answers as well. Again, we'll open up the chat box, but throughout the rest of the day, the chat box won't be on. It'll just be purely us. But we'll turn on from time to time. It's really hard to moderate for 12 hours. It's going to be a daunting task, isn't it?
I wouldn't look forward to moderating for 12 hours. I'm not sure my nerves would take it.
So everybody, thank you all very much for coming on. Whether Facebook may have its glitches, YouTube does have its glitches as well. Yeah, Lisa, 12-hour marathon. It's going to be absolutely shattering. I'm sure it is. Oh, and one other thing that I want to say that I'm not quite sure is Mark on, Bully on?
Mark
hasn't come on today. Okay.
This week he's not been here.
So there's a guy by the name of Mark. He has a company, I think, in Canada called Bully. He very kindly sent me these, which is, I think they look like, let me just zoom in on this camera a second. They look like little ingots. I wish they were silver, Mark. He never sent me silver ones. Oh, shocking. So yeah, these are two little ingots. They very kindly sent me Bully Co. and At the Bench. But very, they're really nice and unusual. So they're good on my little shelf by there. So I know Mark is going to be giving away some offers on the day as well regarding to Bully, and whether there's special offers or free postage, I'm not quite sure. It's a shame that Mark isn't on today. It's the first time he hasn't been on for a long time. The negotiator needs a rolling mill. Laura Jane, yeah, it's the day after my birthday as well, just saying. Oh, okay, well, happy birthday for the 29th of May in advance. Let's have a quick look. Looking forward to the 12-hour marathon. Good on YouTube. Late, no problems, Mike, no problems. I got your message, Mike, on my messenger. I need to reply to you. Yeah, so that's it. Okay, so that's what we're going to say. That's about 1 hour and 8 minutes. Thank you all very much for coming on this afternoon. Thank you for all your comments. Sorry we haven't got through to every single question. In the survey, you also mentioned about perhaps topics that you want us to see, and also how we can try and improvise these questions and answers as well. So we're going to take all those on board, as well as amongst all the data that we've got regarding timetables about what's going to be going on the 30th of May. So everybody, thank you all very much. Is there any copyright rules to making jewelry as most chains and rings look the same? Not really. They're pretty much in the public domain. Chains and things like that, unless you come up with an absolutely unusual design, and then it would be quite unique. But we can go into that. Louise and I can talk about that, things to do with copywriting and copy protection, and what you need to do to ensure the designs don't get pinched and so forth on our marathon session. Mike, the survey's been taken down now. We've taken the survey down. We had over 700 replies to that we're just going to have to go through and try and work out. So I apologize if you haven't managed to fill out the survey, but don't worry. We're trying to sort of get everybody's sort of times about what they want to watch and when they want to watch it. But thank you all very much indeed. Louise and I thank you all very much. So say it's good night for me. And it's
you're an American follower as well, I understand.
No, it's truly wrong. No. So yeah. So I want to say thank you all very much for coming on. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks to Louise as well, and also to Jasmine, who has been moderating as well this afternoon. Thank you both very much indeed. Do appreciate it. Hey, do appreciate it. So everybody, thank you very much. We're going to be doing it again, same time next week, 3:30 again next week. Yep, I'm going to try and get some more questions in, and hopefully we won't have as many glitches as what we've had to do. Oh, so inspired, excellent. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for all the thumbs up. Thank you very much indeed. Yep, you have a lovely day as well. To everybody, thank you so much indeed. I will see you, and we will see you 3:30 next Wednesday, which is when? What's the date today? 6:30, 13th, 20th of May. See you back here, 3:30, 20th of May. Everybody take care. Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.